I need to call an ambulance. Trembling with agitation, I knew I had to help my collapsed husband immediately, so I reached for my phone. Despite my attempts to reassure her, my daughter calmly replied,
"It's okay. We don't need an ambulance."
When I asked my daughter the meaning behind her words, I discovered a shocking truth. My name is Harper Smith. At 34 years old, I currently work part-time at a call center in the mornings. I reconnected with my husband, John, at our high school reunion, and we hit it off immediately, starting our relationship soon after. 3 years later, we got married, and now we have a first-grade daughter named Emily. After Emily was born and our expenses increased, John felt a stronger obligation to support the family, often working long hours. Despite the long hours, he always prioritized me and Emily when he returned home. Feeling cherished, I didn't mind our hectic schedules and the occasional missed connections. John worked as a pharmacist, and whenever I fell sick, he would rush home to take care of me, offering massages and preparing medicines tailored to my needs.
I know a lot about how the body works, so let me know where it hurts. I'll get your medicine ready and give you a massage.
With his gentle care, he nursed me back to health, and Emily would cheer me on, urging me to get better soon.
"Mom, get well soon and be happy again."
Motivated by her words, I focused on my recovery. Seeing my discomfort, she turned to him and said,
"Hey, give Mom the special one. The magic medicine."
Agreeing with her, he handed me herbal remedies and cold medicine, determined to help me get better. At our house, we call medicine magic medicine. Emily would bravely swallow even the bitterest of medicines because of that belief. And I, having frequently fallen sick since childhood, would miraculously recover the next day, convinced by the magic of the medicine. For Emily, Mommy will take the magic medicine and get better. Saying so, I swallowed the bitter medicine, encouraged by Emily. The next day, I was completely recovered. Thanks to Emily, I'm feeling better now. Thank you, sweetheart.
Nah, it's all thanks to the magic medicine.
She smiled and headed off to school.
Looks like you're feeling better already. Well then, I'll head off to work. Take it easy today.
Showing concern for me before leaving for work himself. Today, eager to express gratitude to the two who had worried about me, I was determined to prepare a slightly fancier dinner. Emily returned home in the afternoon, extremely pleased.
"The house smells so good. I was talking to my friends on the way back, and they said it smelled amazing. You made it, didn't you? I'm looking forward to tonight."
She happily finished her homework, bustling with excitement. In the evening, as it neared the time for him to return, I began setting the table with plates and cutlery. While Emily helped me arrange the glasses, I received a call from him on my phone.
Sorry. I thought I'd be home early today, but a junior colleague asked for serious advice. I want to take him out for dinner and talk things over, so I'll pass on dinner tonight. Sorry.
He continued, hanging up the call before I could say anything. Feeling a bit disappointed, I reluctantly put down my phone and explained to Emily. Daddy's having an important conversation with a coworker today, so he won't be joining us for dinner. It's a shame, but how about you and I eat together? Emily looked visibly upset.
Huh? Daddy's not eating? But Mom works so hard.
Suppressing her sadness, she showed concern for me. Feeling touched by my kind-hearted daughter, my heart warmed and I felt happy. Although the dinner I had prepared for our family of 3 was now ruined, her kindness made any sadness disappear. As long as she eats, Mommy's happy. It's okay.
Then I'll eat a lot for Daddy's share.
She said with a smile, happily tucking in. We finished tidying up together, had dessert after dinner, and spent a relaxing day.
Mom, I thought Daddy would be here to have dessert with us.
Yeah. I'm worried about Daddy too, but should we go to bed soon? Saying that, Emily and I waited for him to come home. But no matter how long we waited, he didn't go home, so we went to sleep first. That day, he didn't come home. He returned around 5 in the morning. Perhaps because it was early morning, I heard the sound of the front door opening slowly, trying not to wake us up. I was preparing lunch and breakfast, so I noticed and headed to the entrance. As soon as he noticed me, he immediately apologized.
I missed the last train and had to take the first one back. I'm sorry for worrying you.
Realizing that he must have been dealing with something important to miss the last train, I stopped complaining. For now, go take a bath. I'll make breakfast for you while you're in there.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll go now.
After that, Emily woke up, and the three of us had breakfast together. She had been talking to him about last night's dinner.
Why does Daddy always miss the important times? Mom made an amazing dinner yesterday.
I see. Harper, I'm sorry. I'll come home early today.
He promised, and we all left the house together. While I couldn't prepare a luxurious meal like yesterday, I decided to make my daughter's favorite lasagna for dinner and headed to the supermarket after work to buy ingredients. There, I ran into Emily's friend's mother.
Hi, Emily's mom? It's been a while. How have you been lately?
Hi, Ava's mom. What a coincidence. Lately, I've been experiencing some health issues more frequently. Maybe it's because of my age. As we chatted, she made a suggestion.
Hey, why don't Emily come over to our house sometime soon? That way, Harper, you can have some time for yourself and relax. Ava loves Emily, so she'll be thrilled if she stays over.
Really? Well then, I'll gladly accept your offer. Saying that, we exchanged contact information and parted ways. When Emily returned home, I told her about today's conversation. Welcome back. Today, I met Ava's mom. She invited you to stay over at Ava's house. Upon hearing this, her face lit up with a big smile.
Wow. Ava's house? Can I stay over?
Yes, you can. Just make sure to be a good girl. Ava's mom said you could come over this Saturday. She was eager to prepare for her sleepover right away, her eyes sparkling with excitement, which was shared by her friend Ava as well. I silently thanked Ava's mom for making such a kind offer. In the evening, John also returned home early. Emily happily ran to greet him at the door.
Welcome back. Guess what? I'm going to stay over at Ava's house soon.
She was so excited that she immediately shared the news with John upon his return. When I mentioned how thoughtful they were for considering my health, he responded,
Then maybe I'll go out somewhere on Saturday too. Since you have some time to yourself, why don't you enjoy a leisurely lunch or go shopping alone? And I'll pick up her from Ava's house on Sunday.
Is that okay? Well then, I'll gladly accept your offer. I decided to take advantage of Ava's mom and his kind words. After finishing dinner, John remembered something and pulled out an envelope from his bag as if he suddenly recalled it.
Daddy, what's that?
She asked eagerly, her feet tapping in anticipation. John said he remembered well and proudly handed it to me.
This is for Mommy. Mommy, her health hasn't been great lately, right? So, Daddy bought this special magical ingredient to help Mommy get better.
Upon hearing this, she looked extremely happy.
Mommy often gets sick, right? With this magical food, Mommy will get even stronger. That's great.
You went out of your way to buy this for me? It must have been expensive. But thank you. Feeling both sorry and grateful that he cared about me and went out of his way to buy it, I was overwhelmed with emotion.
Because Mommy getting better is the most important thing. It works wonders if you eat it every day.
He said with a smile, reassuring me not to worry, as he handed it over. However, then he clapped his hands and bowed in front of me and her.
There's one more thing. I'm so sorry again. From tomorrow until Friday, work will be hectic, and I might come home late.
He bowed deeply, resting his forehead on the table. She looked dissatisfied. Of course, I was also unhappy, but because he was working hard for us, I couldn't say anything. Suppressing my sadness, I comforted her. Emily, Daddy is working hard for us, so let's go to the amusement park or something on his day off. With that promise, I managed to lift her spirits. He made eye contact with me, silently saying thank you, and we all went to bed that night. I immediately ate before going to bed and fell asleep. When I took it out of the bag, it was food I had never seen before. It looked black and dried, but it tasted like fruit and was easy to eat. However, I woke up at 2 a.m. feeling something wrong with my body. After being hit by a headache, my stomach felt queasy, and I rushed to the toilet. Emily and John seemed fine, so I realized that tonight's dinner wasn't the cause. Was there anything else that I ate? I wondered. When I recalled what I had eaten, I remembered the food he had given me. Since I hadn't asked about its effects in detail, I thought that must be the cause. Despite feeling queasy, I managed to fall asleep with closed eyes. In the morning, John had already left, leaving a note on the table. It simply wrote, "Thanks for the lunch. Let me know if anything happens. See you later." I debated whether to report that the food he had brought didn't agree with me, but I felt it would be inappropriate to interfere with his work, so I decided to email him later. And I decided to stop consuming this food for a while. A few minutes later, Emily woke up and happily talked about what she would do when she stayed over at Ava's. After preparing for her school and my work, we left the house together.
Am I not going to see Daddy for a while?
He will come back while you're asleep and go to work before you wake up. So, it might be a good idea to leave a note if something happens.
Okay.
With that, we engaged in trivial conversation as we commuted as usual. When I arrived at the office and started preparing for work, I received an email from John.
Don't forget to eat it today, it's important to continue every day.
I replied to the email asking, what kind of effects does it have? I received a reply to that email in the evening. He replied,
The food contains various nutrients and is completely safe for the body, so don't worry.
I thought that maybe I, being weaker than others, was experiencing a strange reaction to rejection. Although the email from him assured me that there were no adverse effects on my health, I couldn't quite bring myself to eat it, remembering the headache and stomach ache yesterday. Feeling bad about throwing it away, I decided to at least put the ingredients into the lunch I made for him every day. This way, he could stay healthy, and I wouldn't have to throw it away. I decided to buy supplements and healthy foods that suited me. Even after several days, he was commuting to and from work without complaining of poor health, so I was relieved that it probably just didn't suit me. Then the long-awaited Saturday arrived. Emily got into the car that Ava's mom had come to pick her up in and went to stay over. He also left early in the morning to soak in a hot spring in the countryside, so I could spend a leisurely day. Occasionally, I received emails with photos from Ava's mom as updates on how Emily was doing. Emily was smiling brightly as she made sweets with Ava. I also enjoyed myself by going shopping and having dinner out. And before I knew it, it was Sunday. John had contacted Emily and me to let us know that they would watch a movie on the release day and then come home. So I felt a little guilty for being able to relax alone, but I was also grateful for his kindness. In the evening, when Emily and John came home, she seemed a bit down.
She's been like this all day. I think she's sad to say goodbye to Ava.
Hearing John say that reminded me of when I cried when parting with friends as a child, so I empathized with her feelings. It seems like you had a lot of fun at Ava's house. How about inviting Ava to your house next time? I suggested this to give Ava's mom a day off too. Emily nodded quietly and helped with dinner preparations. He was going to take a bath and left the room. Then Emily tried to get my attention by tugging at my sleeve. Just as I was about to listen to her, there was a loud noise from the bathroom. I hurried to the bathroom and was startled to find John lying on the floor. "We need to call an ambulance." Despite my trembling hands, I tried to take out my phone from my pocket to make the call, trying to reassure everything would be okay. But she calmly responded,
It's okay. We don't need an ambulance.
I was surprised by her words. What are you talking about?
Because Daddy did something bad. He got punished because God was watching.
Emily explained calmly. I couldn't understand her words, but I thought saving a life was the priority. I persuaded her that we could talk about it later and called for an ambulance. Fortunately, we were able to call for help immediately after he collapsed, and he was fine. However, he hadn't woken up yet, so he couldn't speak. He was scheduled for a hospital visit today and tomorrow, so I thanked the medical staff and left the hospital. When I got home with her, I asked her about what she was about to say earlier. Sorry, can you tell me what you were going to say earlier? Emily then recounted what happened when she stayed overnight and watched a movie. According to her,
Lately, I've been seeing your dad passing by our house at night.
Emily found it strange.
Really? But that's around 9 o'clock, right? Dad works much later, so it must be someone else.
That's not a lie. Let's check it out today.
So, Emily kept watch at the window during bedtime. A few minutes later, Ava said she needed to use the bathroom and left the room. While Emily was alone looking out the window, she saw John walking past the house, just as Ava had said. However, he wasn't alone. There was a woman with him. They seemed close, with their arms linked. Emily realized it wasn't me and was shocked. She didn't say anything to Ava and pretended that he didn't pass by that day, then went to sleep. Sunday came, and John came to pick her up, but she didn't show much of a smile, likely still affected by what happened yesterday. He thought watching a movie would improve her mood, so they headed straight to the theater and watched a movie together. It seems he accidentally bought tickets for my share as well when purchasing them. Emily chuckled softly and said,
That's just like you, Dad.
However, during the screening, Emily seemed distracted, whispering something to him.
Hey! My daughter is beside me here.
He whispered.
Oh. It's fine. She's going to be my stepdaughter anyway, right? Hey, Emily. I'm prettier than Mom, aren't I?
Emily was taken aback by the sudden conversation from the unfamiliar woman. He reportedly tried to stop the conversation, but afterward, he was seen cozying up to the woman while watching the movie. Emily realized that his claim of mistakenly buying the tickets for me was a lie. When they returned home, neither Emily nor John made much eye contact or showed smiles, and that seemed to be the reason. I was shocked to hear the whole story. John, who hadn't shown any suspicious behavior, was apparently doing such things behind my back. I didn't want to believe her story, but she wasn't the kind of child to make up such lies. As I listened, a notification sounded from his phone. Since he left for the hospital without his phone, which was left on the desk, I happened to see several notifications. Curious, I peeked at the messages and found an email from a woman's name. The contents mentioned enjoying the movie yesterday and whether the plan to get rid of the wife was progressing well. It confirmed Emily's story. There was a secret plan to get rid of me, and I desperately tried to recall his behavior to figure out what kind of plan he was making. However, since there had been no indication of such plans, I guessed it hadn't been executed yet. Then, a call came from the hospital. They had determined his diagnosis and wanted me to come to the hospital. When Emily and I arrived, the doctor explained the diagnosis.
The cause is believed to be excessive consumption of a certain food. Mr. John is perfectly healthy, but he has been consuming a food item that causes headaches, stomach discomfort, and dizziness when eaten in excess. Do you happen to know anything about what he has been eating daily?
With this explanation from the doctor, everything clicked into place for me. The plan John and the woman were hatching involved feeding me something harmful every day to worsen my health. Then, while I was hospitalized, he planned to live with that woman. His recent lies about overtime were all just excuses to meet with that woman. As I connected the dots, recalling his actions and words, I became increasingly angry. The nurse informed me that he had regained consciousness and was able to speak, so I calmed myself down and headed to his room. Fortunately, my parents' house was only a 20-minute drive from the hospital, so I went back there to leave Emily with my mom. Emily, Mommy, and Daddy need to talk now. Can you be a good girl and wait for a little while?
Okay, Mommy.
She didn't say anything, but she seemed to understand and obediently stayed quiet. I felt guilty for burdening my young daughter and apologized inwardly to her. Alongside the apology, I began to feel increasingly frustrated with John, who was calmly cheating on me in front of our beloved daughter. As I approached his hospital room, I took a deep breath before attempting to enter. However, I heard voices coming from his room. I peeked through the glass portion of the door and saw a woman I didn't recognize inside. I discreetly opened the door a few inches to eavesdrop on their conversation.
Hey, even though you collapsed, your wife still hasn't come to take care of you. Isn't that too much? Unbelievable. You should divorce that horrible woman right away.
I know.
And yet, that she is still not getting sick. Can you believe it?
Hearing this conversation, I couldn't help but think that this woman was involved in the situation after all. Unable to stay silent any longer, I knocked loudly on the door. The sudden sound caused both John and the woman to swiftly turn towards the door. Was I interrupting something? I said, and both of them visibly paled. The woman, looking flustered, stood up from her chair.
Oh, are you Mrs.? I'm a colleague of Mr. Smith from work. I just came to visit out of concern. Well, I should be going now.
With that, she tried to make a hasty exit, but I blocked the door and insisted she stay a little longer. "Since you've come all this way, why don't you stay a little longer?" I said, smiling. The woman looked uneasy, perhaps realizing her plan hadn't gone as expected, and John, sweating and sounding strange, urged her to stay a bit longer.
Yeah, that's right. If you stay a little longer.
There was an odd tension among the three of us, and the woman seemed jumpy at the slightest movement I made. Since I had already left Emily with my mom, I didn't want to spend any more time, so I went straight to the point. "So, you're cheating with this woman?" I said abruptly. His eyes widened at my sudden accusation, and he immediately denied.
What are you talking about? No way, she's just a colleague from work.
Is that so? Would a colleague from work go to the movies with a married man and your daughter, joking about becoming your wife? When I said this with a hint of sarcasm, neither of them could come up with a response. They both seemed to surrender, hanging their heads low. But I wasn't done yet. "Oh, by the way, I couldn't handle the food you gave me, so I put it in your lunchbox." Upon hearing this, John, who had been submissive until now, suddenly regained his energy and shouted angrily while glaring at me.
What the hell? What are you doing? That's why I'm unconscious and collapsed.
Huh? Was that food dangerous? I heard it would make you feel better. I put it in hoping you'd recover.
That's...
You were trying to make me collapse unconscious, but your plan failed miserably, didn't it? You didn't expect it to be in your lunchbox, did you? I chuckled and said so. John was completely defeated, his eyes vacant. He had completely drowned in his scheme. Next, I turned to the woman and said, "So, you're the one who approached a married man. Of course, don't forget you're also at fault. I'll be sure to get plenty of compensation from both of you." As I said this, the woman immediately pushed back against me.
"Why should I have to pay? He wanted me to comfort him and approached me. So I'm a victim too."
Oh. So it was all initiated by him? Then show me the email exchanges between you and my husband right now. If you claim to be a victim, you weren't taking an active role, were you?
That's...
She was taken aback. It seemed she quickly realized her plan was futile and suddenly changed her tune, kneeling in apology.
I am sorry. Please forgive me this time."
I will never forgive you, even if you kneel. You'll receive a notice from my lawyer at your home, so be prepared. With that, leaving the two of them looking pale and on the verge of tears, I walked out of the room. I immediately headed to my parents' house, where Emily was staying.
"Oh, welcome back. Emily has been a good girl."
"I'm sorry to ask you to take care of her all of a sudden. And also, I'm getting a divorce from John, so can I stay in this house for a while?" I said something absurd to my mom, who was surprised and wide-eyed. But when I explained the situation to her, she empathized with my feelings.
"Is that what happened? Then you can stay in this house from today. Your dad will go and get your belongings."
She didn't ask for any further details and was trying to protect me and Emily. Feeling the warmth of my mom's generosity, I became a little teary-eyed. I politely explained to Emily that we couldn't live with John anymore. To my surprise, she understood and said something like this.
"I don't like Daddy because he was being nice to someone who wasn't Mommy. I want to live at Grandma's house."
Even though she was just a child, she had noticed that his dad was doing something wrong. "Thank you. From now on, Mommy will make Daddy smile again." I made that promise to her. When my dad returned from work, I explained the situation to him, and he came to my house, gathered the necessary belongings, and brought them. The next day, John was discharged from the hospital. To coincide with his return home, my father and I went to his place to have a discussion. As soon as I arrived at his house, John immediately apologized.
I'm so sorry. I realize that you and Emily are more important to me. I'll cut ties with that woman. Please forgive me.
I was completely indifferent to his belated apology. It's no joke to try to deceive me and start over with the person who tried to trap me. Would you please fill out the divorce papers quickly? I said with a sigh. My dad, who was standing behind me, wasn't silent either.
Hey, John. I can't allow my precious daughter to live with someone like you. If you truly care about Harper and Emily, you should divorce her.
Perhaps due to my dad's intimidating words, John tearfully filled out the divorce papers. Also, both you and that woman will be sued for compensation. Filling out the divorce papers isn't the end of it, I said condescendingly and left the house. Afterward, I was able to claim a large amount of compensation from the woman and John. Perhaps because they both worked at the same company, rumors quickly spread there. The woman couldn't bear the gossip and immediately quit her job. She ended up in debt because of the compensation she had to pay me, leading to a very difficult life. He also became the subject of gossip among the residents near his former home, and talk of a promotion at work disappeared. Currently, everyone keeps their distance from them as if they were handling something contagious. I changed my part-time job to full-time and worked hard for Emily. I was recognized for my efforts, received a raise, and now lead a fulfilling life. I now believe that her happiness is more important than my own life. With that in mind, I will continue to protect my daughter's life so that we can spend each day with smiles. How did you find this story? If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video.